आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Thank you for joining us on the long form story. I'm Niranjan. On the show tonight, we look at the 5 biggest stories that dominated the headlines this week. In depth, the stories that made the headlines. First up, the $110 million aircraft, the world's most advanced fighter jet, stranded in Kerala. For days now and weeks now, we investigate the stealth, the snag, and the strange silence on this jet. From Kerala, we then go to Madurai, Tamil Nadu, where a 29-year-old temple guard, Ajith Kumar, was killed in police custody. We tell you about the police drunk on power in the Stalin government. From Tamil Nadu to Bengal, where a 24-year-old student was raped inside the South Calcutta Law College. Her rapist is a political predator, a serial offender. We get to his story. And then we move to a similar incident in Madhya Pradesh, where an 18-year-old trainee nurse stabbed to death inside a government hospital. Nobody saved her. No one stopped her killer as she was stabbed for 10 minutes. And finally, in Telangana, Sangareddy district, we get to the long-form story of a chemical factory that exploded, killing over 40 workers this week. Is there a cover-up on the explosion? Let's get started. It's the world's most advanced fighter jet. But in Kerala, it's stranded. A British Royal Navy F-35B, which made an emergency landing in Thiruvananthapuram on the 14th of June. And since then, it hasn't moved an inch. No official explanation, no timeline, just global headlines and growing questions. Some are blaming weather, some citing technical snags, but theories now go far deeper. And tonight on the long form story, we investigate the stealth, the snag, the strange silence around this 5th generation fighter jet that just can't seem to take off.
It is pudgy, but cruises at supersonic speeds. It appears roly-poly, but lands like a helicopter with absolute ease. Mind you, behind its thick exterior, this British Royal Navy aircraft hides its missiles inside its belly, one of a kind. Sadly, this short king is now making headlines for not so versatile reasons. Some call it Fat Amy, some Battle Penguin. But here in India, we recognize this Royal Navy aircraft as the unexpected face of Kerala tourism. A lonely one at that.
F-35B fighter jet that was grounded in the Thiruvananthapuram International Civil Airport on June 14th continues to be in the airport. It has been understood that there is a problem with the hydraulic system of this particular flight, because of which it has been grounded. It had made an emergency landing on June 14th, Saturday night at the Thiruvananthapuram International Airport, and in fact all support was given by the Indian government. However, many days there has been a fiasco that the fighter pilot in fact refused to move away from this flight and refused the Indian authorities request to move it to a hangar as well.
Since departing the United Kingdom in late April, the aircraft carrier operated in the Mediterranean, conducting NATO exercises. On the 9th of June, the Indian Navy's INS Tabar commenced a passage exercise with HMS Prince of Wales and HMS Richmond, part of the UK carrier strike group in the Northern Arabian Sea. This exercise concluded on the 10th of June. The riddle of the F-35 began on the evening of 14th of June when, without warning, the battle penguin soared off its carrier to a destination unknown. All this after the exercise was over. The mystery deepens because no one knows the final destination. Flying 100 nautical miles off the coast of Kerala, low fuel and worsening weather forced the F-35B to land unexpectedly at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport. The story doesn't end here. The fighter pilot insisted that he would sit next to the aircraft and not go to the terminal. Stranded under unfamiliar skies for days, the aircraft was halted by a quiet mechanical failure, one that prevented its return to the carrier. The vacation of F-35B in Kerala begins, and with every passing day, it was turning out to be a global embarrassment for Britain. What is the F-35's kill switch theory? Well, some defense analysts claim the US holds ultimate control over the jet's systems through encrypted software and authentication keys. There's no physical switch, but in theory, the jets could be made inoperable without US approval. The Pentagon and Lockheed Martin strongly deny it. But yet, the debate raises a bigger question. In a software-defined fighter jet, who really holds the reins?
What we understand is that for 20 days, the crew members have not been able to identify what the exact problem is. And also, tomorrow they are likely to come. A bigger crew member, around 30 members, are supposed to come in a special military aircraft over here in Thiruvananthapuram, in this very bay.
The Royal Navy's Battle Penguin chose to remain outside in the pouring rain instead of accepting India's gracious offer to shelter it in a hangar. A week later, the British High Commission spokesperson told media that the aircraft would be moved inside once the UK engineering teams arrived. And the plot thickens.
And so that decision would have been taken between Lockheed Martin and Royal Air Force. To decide as to whether they could have done this. And I'm sure all these days, they would have deliberated in terms of whether the equipment has to come from UK, the equipment has to come from the ship, whether the equipment is to come from US, whether Lockheed Martin team from the factory would need to come, or it could be done by the maintainers from RAF also. So because it's such a complex task, no nation takes a call overnight. And since the safety is involved, because it landed off an emergency, they would not like to have another emergency when it is taking off. I don't think India should be worried about it as much as US or UK would be worried. Primarily the technology is theirs, and they are the people who want to safeguard certain technologies.
Whether this was a red herring for something bigger or a wolf in sheep's clothing, as some defense experts suggest, one thing is clear. The F-35 once again made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Call it a meme fest or an unintentional photo op, the episode didn't exactly bolster the jet's mystique. Stranded for days at the tarmac at Thiruvananthapuram Airport, the stealth fighter may not have impressed militarily, but it certainly did wonders for Kerala's tourism. A team of UK aviation experts, engineers and officials arrived in Kerala's capital to begin dismantling the stranded stealth aircraft for transport back to a British naval base. No timeline has been provided yet on how long the process will take. As HMS Prince of Wales sails toward Australia, the final mystery remains. Will the F-35B ever reunite with its mothership? The vacationing of F-35B in Kerala isn't the only incident that has added to the bad press. A string of events linked to F-35 program. In June, Iran made a stunning claim of shooting down Israel's F-35, providing visual evidence. A claim that was vehemently denied by Israel.
Ajith Kumar was picked up for questioning last week. Since then, a video showing torture. A family left with a body and no answers whatsoever. In Madurai, a 29-year-old temple guard was killed in police custody, tortured, after being detained on suspicion of theft. There was no FIR, no arrest memo, and no post-mortem transparency. What followed were allegations of custodial torture, which has been seen in the videos, extortion, after killing him, and a hurried burial. Tonight, Republic on the long-form story breaks down what happened in Ajith's final hours.
The video that shook Tamil Nadu and forced open a case that system may have buried. Captured secretly through a narrow slit in the ventilation part of the wall of a temple, it shows a young man screaming, held down, beaten, and pleading for mercy. The footage is grainy, the frame unsteady, but the violence is unmistakable. Multiple officers in casual clothes striking him repeatedly as he cries out. This video, now viral across the state and beyond, is what exposed the final hours of Ajith Kumar. Without it, the location, the method, the silence, none of it may have ever come to light. Madurai, often called the city of temples, faith and culture. But beneath the sacred rhythms of devotion, a disturbing incident has shaken this spiritual heartland. 29-year-old Ajith Kumar lived in Shivaganga, a small town about 45 kilometers from Madurai. He worked as a daily wage laborer and lived with his mother and younger brother Naveen. They resided in a modest house tucked into a narrow by lane. But on June 26th, Ajith's name surfaced in a police investigation, one that took him to Madurai, and one from which he would never return. The case that brought Ajith into the police net involved a complaint of theft, specifically 80 grams of gold ornaments missing from Madurappam Kali Amman temple in Madurai. The complaint was that of a woman named Nikita, who sources say is closely associated with a local DMK functionary. On June 26th, Ajith was first detained and released after preliminary questioning. The next day, a special team picked him up again, and this time they took his brother and two others as well. Ajith was brought back to the Madurappam Kali Amman temple, the site of the alleged theft. The temple is located adjacent to the Assistant Commissioner's office. None of them were formally arrested. No FIR was filed at that stage. It was here, according to multiple accounts, that the second round of questioning turned violent.
வெளியே வந்து பார்க்கும்போது இது லெஃப்ட் ஹேண்ட் சைடு வந்து இப்படி உடச்சாங்க ஒரு வரலா உடச்சிட்டு தண்ணின்னு கேட்டாங்க. நாங்களுக்குள்ளே நின்று இந்த ஒரு லவாப்பழம் மரம் நிற்கும் நின்று நான் பார்க்குறேன், எல்லோரும் கை கட்டி வேடிக்கை பார்க்குறாங்க. தண்ணின்னு கேட்டாங்க. ஒரு போலீஸ்காரர் செருப்பு கழட்டி சப்பு மூஞ்சிலே அடித்தார்.
This is the same temple where the 27-year-old Ajith Kumar, who recently passed away under the police custodial death, was working at. It was this same road where he was beaten up by the police and taken away in the car for an investigation. However, the case went on without an investigation, but which led to a custodial death, and also a special investigation team which was inquiring Ajith Kumar, which was not appointed by anyone. But where is the person who gave the complaint? Where is the person who actually ordered for the special investigation team? It all remains a question.
Ajith's cries were reportedly heard from outside this gate, but no help came. He reportedly suffered seizures and became unresponsive. Ajith was later taken to a private hospital where doctors declared him dead.
This is the exact hole from which the video that's been surfacing online is what we are receiving. It was exactly from that spot where they have spotted Ajith Kumar sitting right here, being hit by the police under the custody of multiple head constables and under the DSP of Madurai. The local people also tell that one of the officials from inside the temple had asked the police to beat Ajith Kumar so that he will tell the truth. However, the locals here try to say that Ajith would not have done the mistake of stealing the gold, and it was police that had an ulterior motive, and that's the reason they had brought him back to the temple here and was hitting him right here in front of the other officials that were inside the temple.
Republic visited the spot where Ajith reportedly collapsed. According to reports, he suffered an epileptic shock due to internal and external injuries. The site, marked by witness accounts, now stands as a grim reminder of what transpired. The family alleges that both Ajith and his younger brother were taken in. Only one returned.
அது என்னையை கூட்டி போய் அடித்ததுக்கான ரீசன் வந்து நைட்டு ஃபுல்லாக அடித்து அவன் சொல்லலை. வேறு ஃபேமிலியில் யாராவது அவனை வச்சு அடிக்கும்போது உண்மையை ஒத்துக்கிறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்குன்ற எண்ணத்தில் என்னை கூட்டி போய் அடிச்சிருக்கோம். விசாரிக்கும் போது அம்மா மேலேயும் உன் மேலேயும் கஞ்சா கேஸ் போடுவேன் அப்படின்ற மாதிரிலாம் மிரட்டினாங்க.
Naveen also claimed that the police extorted money from him during custody. No formal FIR was shown for either of their detentions. In Madurai, protests broke out over the incident. Human rights organization and opposition leaders demanded an independent investigation. The post-mortem report clearly shows the extent of injuries Ajith suffered. There were 44 external injuries on his body: cuts, bruises, abrasions, especially on his arms and legs. Inside, doctors found 18 more internal wounds, including deep bruises on his back and head. Both his eyes were cloudy, his scalp was swollen, and there were multiple impact marks across his body. The report also mentions bleeding in parts of his brain that could have led to seizures. The findings directly contradict any suggestion of natural or stress-induced collapse.
I met the victim's family, particularly mother and his brother. On behalf of our party, we consoled them. In this case, our Honorable Chief Minister have taken proper action against this brutal murder by the police, and he permitted to investigate this case by CBI. This is really appreciable one. Our Honorable CM expressed his genuinity through this declaration, CBI inquiry. I demand the Tamil Nadu government should give compensation to this family 1 crore rupees. Already they have announced that brother of Ajith Kumar, Mr. Navin Kumar, will get government job immediately, and Tamil Nadu government is assured that free house patta 3 cents and house will be allotted for them.
Before this, there were confirmed reports that DMK office bearer has bargained with that family and they would give 50 lakhs. Now why 5 lakhs? Let government give what they have already promised.
Sir, and also do you think Stalin's comment of saying that it will not happen again is a repetitive comment, but it's been 25?
This is not the first incident. He has put a quarter century of lockup death. Apart from it, more than 6,700 murders have taken place in Tamil Nadu in the last 50 months. So he is a nalayak chief minister, unfit chief minister, who if he really feels that he should do justice for the people of Tamil Nadu, he would resign.
In the aftermath, Minister Periya Kuruppam visited the family. The Tamil Nadu government offered Rs 5 lakh compensation and a job to the younger son, an offer the family says they accepted under fear and pressure.
என்னோட குடும்ப சூழ்நிலை தான் சார். அவ்வளவுக்கு வசதி இல்லை, யாரையும் தெரியாது. அதனால் சரி நம்ம பிள்ளை அனுபவிக்க முடியாத ஒரு கொடூரத்தை அனுபவித்து இறந்து போயிருக்கு. அதை எப்படியா நல்லடக்கம் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி நான் செஞ்சேன்.
Neighbors told Republic they saw Ajit being taken away by the police. Multiple accounts claim chili powder was used during the assault and that plastic pipes and rods were recovered from the location. An FIR under the section 196(2)A of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita was filed nearly 30 hours after Ajit's death, naming the police officers involved. Court filings say the location of torture was a cattle shed behind the Assistant Commissioner's office near the temple. 6 police officers have since been suspended pending investigation. A writ petition filed before the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court prompted judicial scrutiny. Taking note of the seriousness of the allegations, the court ordered a judicial inquiry. The case is now listed for hearing on July 8th. Ajit's case is not the first time that Tamil Nadu has been forced to confront custodial violence. In June 2020, during the COVID-19 lockdown, the father-son duo Jairaj and Benix died after being detained by police in Shantakulam, also in Tamil Nadu. The incident sparked outrage across the country and led to the arrest of several officers. 4 years later, Ajit's death has revived those questions again about what happens behind closed doors in custody and how long it takes for accountability to follow.
It was only after the gruesome video of Ajith Kumar being brutally beaten up by the police inspectors and the head constables, the magistrate court of the Madras High Court bench took an action stating that the DMK and the TN Chief Minister Stalin should react on this particular case, following which the DMK has now settled the family with a certain amount of money, a land and a work for his brother Naveen. However, now the family do states that it was not under pressure of the DMK that they agreed to it, but the situation of the family at the moment they are in right now, and with the loss of their son, the family is no more ready to fight this tedious process of going against the government and the police officials. This is not the first case. Let it be the ADGP case where an abduction of a minor, and there's also the Anna University sexual harassment case where the main culprit seems to be missing according to the opposition's claim, and also the very old Phoenix and Jairaj case, which was also a custodial death. And apart from this, more than 24 other deaths just like Ajith Kumar, who lost their life for the police brutality in the state of Tamil Nadu.
From a locked temple gate to a rushed cremation, from a cattle shed to High Court, the echoes of Ajith's last moments have stirred long-standing questions about custodial violence and accountability. Ajith's name now joins a long list of custodial deaths in Tamil Nadu. As the investigation progresses, his family awaits a decision that the law must now deliver.
There's been a rare admission by the Stalin government. They've admitted that the state was behind the killing. They claim it's a mistake. Moving on to West Bengal now, where a 24-year-old student was raped inside the South Calcutta Law College. It was last week. She was beaten with a hockey stick, filmed, blackmailed by 3 men, and one of them, a local Trinamool Congress Chhatra Parishad leader Manojit Mishra. Despite a long criminal record, Manojit was appointed ad hoc faculty just weeks before the crime. He was backed by a governing body led by a Trinamool Congress sitting MLA. He wasn't just protected, he was promoted. Watch our investigation this week into how political patronage enabled a repeat offender and the alleged rapist. The story that's dominating the news in West Bengal.
In the heart of South Kolkata, under the glow of heritage and history, a young woman was dragged through the 3 rooms of terror. Beaten, raped, filmed, and blackmailed. The FIR tells of 3 crime scenes inside this college. A student union room, a locked washroom, and the security guard's chamber, where the girl was beaten with a hockey stick. Where they stripped her, raped her, recorded her, threatened her life. She was fighting for breath, begging for her inhaler. This isn't a case of allegations. It's a case of overwhelming evidence, cross-verified, clinical.
সাউথ ক্যালকাটা ল কলেজে যে কেস হয়েছে ওটা পুলিশ তদন্ত করছে যেহেতু কেস খুবই সেন্সিটিভ আছে উই উড নট লাইক টু আমরা খুব ডিটেলস আমরা কিছু দিতে চাইছি না আমি এটাই বলবো দ্রুত করে এফআইআর করা হয়েছিল 3 জন এফআইআর অ্যাকিউজড প্রথম দিনেই ধরা পড়েছে। ইন লেস দেন 12 আওয়ার্স প্রথম 3 জন ধরা পড়েছে।
Although the college has only 3 CCTV cameras and none near the union or guard room where the alleged crime took place, the entry and the exit movements of all accused have been recorded. There is a video evidence, a 1.5-minute clip recovered from Monojit's phone showing the rape. According to investigators, co-accused and law students Zaib Ahmed and Parmeet Mukherjee filmed the assault at Mishra's instructions.
Based on evidence, আরও একজন ধরা পড়েছে। অনেক এভিডেন্স আমরা কালেক্ট করেছি, সেইগুলো অ্যানালিসিস হচ্ছে। বাকি যে ইনভেস্টিগেশনের প্রসেস আছে সেটা হচ্ছে।
But what gave Monojit Mishra such unchecked power inside this college? 5 incidents, 5 complaints, 5 desperate cries for action. All ignored over the last 6 years. Warnings were written in black and white, detailing abuse, intimidation, and misconduct. And yet, Monojit Mishra continued to rise, allegedly favored by the ruling Trinamool Congress, holding a key post in its student wing, TMCP, and even practicing law at the Alipur court. The letters piled up, so did the silence. How does a man facing multiple complaints since 2018 get appointed ad hoc faculty just 45 days before the crime? Because the hiring was approved by a governing body led by a TMC MLA. Because Monojit was the Trinamool Chhatra Parishad District General Secretary. Because this wasn't just a man, it was a system.
আমাদের কলেজে পিওরলি টেম্পোরারি জিবি ডাইরেকশনে একটা স্টাফ হিসেবে আছেন। এটা লিস্টিং করে করে তাকে রাখা হয়। ও অফিসের কাজ করতে, মানে অফিসের মানে খাতাপত্র এইসব দেখতে দেখতে টেম্পোরারি অ্যাপয়েন্টমেন্ট জিবি ডাইরেকশন আমার রেজলিউশন আছে।
Governing body is chaired by an MLA called Mr. Ashok Deb, who's a sitting MLA of TMC, and he's a chairperson of 9 other colleges. And he becomes the appointing authority, and through him the governing body acts. So this man, who could not have gotten any appointment anywhere because of his criminal track record, gets appointed as a staff member even on ad hoc basis, because for regular basis they have to take out an advertisement and do something.
This isn't the first rape under TMC's nose. Kasba, Arjikor, Abhaya. And each time the accused were shielded, the narrative distorted, survivors vilified, political cronies protected.
वो लड़की अगर नहीं जाता तो ये घटना नहीं घटते थे। अगर जाने का टाइम लड़की किसी को बता के जाते थे, 2 सहेलियां लेके जाते थे, ये नहीं घटते।
বন্ধু যদি বান্ধবীকে রেপ করে তাহলে সেখানে নিরাপত্তা কি করে দেবে বলুন তো আমাকে? কলেজের ভেতরে যদি করে সেখানে পুলিশ থাকবে কলেজে? শিক্ষা প্রতিষ্ঠান, আরে ভাই শিক্ষা প্রতিষ্ঠানে কি পুলিশ থাকবে? আপনি বলুন না। নিরাপত্তা কাকে দেবে? নিরাপত্তা তো তার সহকর্মীরা দেবে। সহকর্মীরাই রেপ করছে, তাহলে অন্যায়টা কারা করছে? কে করেছে? সহপাঠীরা করেছে।
The same Monojit who demanded death for rapist in Arjikor rape case is now charged with blackmailing a girl with videos of her rape. For years, students whispered of an admission racket, rupees 50,000 to 2 lakhs per seat. Monojit was the fixer, the gatekeeper. Untouchable because he delivered votes and money. Even the ex-principal had written to the police in 2018. It was ignored. Today, graffiti celebrates him. Walls declare, Monojit Dada is in our hearts.
He gave out the principal, he put fire on government properties, on college campus. He did various mischievous activities, and he threatened the principal in various ways. My husband was threatened by him in several times. He put fire on college campus.
Her words echo in the FIR. Every quote, every line, backed by evidence, photos, timelines, and yet his lawyer calls it an act of consensual intercourse and engages in blatant victim shaming.
প্রসিকিউশন কি এই কথাটা বলেছে যে তার ঘাড়ে একখানা লাভ বাইট পাওয়া গেছে? মনোজিৎ মিশ্রান এই কথাটা আপনাদেরকে প্রসিকিউশন বলেনি। যদি রেপ হয় কোনোদিন লাভ বাইট পাওয়া যায় না, যেটা আমি আমার ক্লায়েন্টের সঙ্গে দেখা করে তাকে এক্সামিন করে এসে আপনাদের সামনে বলছি।
In another alarming revelation, police found several objectionable images on Monojit's phone. These included morphed images of multiple girl students with their faces superimposed on pornographic pictures shared across various WhatsApp groups. Investigators are now probing whether this was a part of a larger pattern of harassment. What happens when politics protects predators? When a college becomes a crime scene? When justice is mocked in graffiti and power hides behind party flags?
এই মনোজিতের কালো হাত ফেলে দাও, ঘুরিয়ে দাও। এই মনোজিতের কালো হাত ফেলে দাও, ঘুরিয়ে দাও।
This could not have happened without political protection. Will the Trinamool Congress take responsibility? Or will another survivor be silenced?
An 18-year-old trainee nurse is stabbed to death inside a government hospital in Narsinghpur, Madhya Pradesh. The attacker slits her throat inside the emergency ward and keeps stabbing her for nearly 10 minutes. This continued as doctors, hospital staff, security guards just stood and watched. Some even pulled out their phones to record the murder. Nobody tried to stop the killer. Nobody tried to save her. Horrific details that went unnoticed last week is on the long form story tonight.
Narsinghpur, a quiet town in Madhya Pradesh, witnessed the unthinkable. An 18-year-old girl murdered in cold blood. Her throat slit in broad daylight inside a hospital. But here's what makes this case even more chilling. This wasn't a crime committed in isolation. Doctors and staffs were present, yet no one rushed to help. No one intervened. Some stood still, some recorded it.
आई विटनेसेस काफ़ी सारे थे, उसमें हाँ भीड़ थी। तो स्टेटमेंट्स जो आए हैं उसमें ये कहा है एक आध लोगों ने कि हमने कोशिश की थी कि हम आरोपी को रोके, लेकिन उसने ये कहा कि जो भी आएगा पास में मैं उसको भी चाकू से मार दूंगा। लेकिन हाँ हम हमेशा ही हमें सोचते कि शायद कोई आता तो बच जाती, शायद कोई कुछ फेंक देता, लड़का दिख रहा है कि इतना मजबूत भी नहीं है शायद। तो ये एक मन में तो जरूर होता है कि काश कोई आता।
सिर्फ वीडियो बनाते रहे, तमाशा देखते रहे। ये गार्ड जो है, गार्ड भी भग गया, कहाँ चले गए कोई मालूम नहीं है। वहां से वो पैदल चला गया भाई रोड पे, और जो घटना करके पुलिस वाले भी कुछ नहीं बोले, देखते रहे। तो इन्हें पुलिस वहां से बर्खास्त करें, ड्यूटी से अलग करें, दूसरे मतलब डिपार्टमेंट वहां पे रखा जाए।
आप जब नरसिंहपुर जिले में चिकित्सालय में चौकी स्थापित है, उसके बाद भी स्टाफ 10 मिनट बाद तक की घटना घटती रही, उसके बाद भी चौकी का स्टाफ सामने नहीं आया। वो जाते हुए छोरा लेके जा रहा है और छोरा लेके आ रहा है, घटना करने के बाद भी ना को वहाँ का स्टाफ आया सामने, ना वहाँ का गार्ड आए। तो ये तो बड़ी चूक है, बहुत सुरक्षा में तो बड़ी चूक है, और डर नहीं है किसी को शहर में।
हक हो गया तो सबको लोगों को बोलना था। 50 आदमी थे, किसी ने बचाया नहीं है। उसको फांसी की फंदा उसने होने चाहिए लड़का को, सब चीज़ से वो बहुत आदमी देखा था, मैंने किसी ने नहीं बचाया। उसको होने चाहिए कुछ भी, एक ही सुधार होने चाहिए।
On June 27th, inside ward number 22 of Narsinghpur District Hospital, a 19-year-old trainee nurse, Sandhya Chaudhary, was going about her routine duties. But at around 3 p.m., calm turned into chaos as she stood outside the ward. She was suddenly seized by the head and slammed against the wall without warning.
नरसिंहपुर जिला अस्पताल में जो घटना हुई उसे देखकर सभी के रोंगटे खड़े हुए हैं, क्योंकि वो खौफनाक दृश्य इतना खतरनाक था कि अस्पताल में भी कई लोगों को उस घटना को देखने के बाद उल्टियां होने लगी। फिलहाल मैं आपको उस स्पॉट पर ले जाऊंगा जहां पर आरोपी अभिषेक ने संध्या चौधरी, जो कि यहां पर नर्स की ट्रेनिंग कर रही थी, उसकी हत्या की। देखिए ये वो स्पॉट है, यहां पर इसी जगह पर जो नर्स की ट्रेनिंग कर रही संध्या है वो आरोपी से टकराती है। आरोपी पिछले कई दिन से उससे बदला लेने के लिए, उसे मौत के घाट उतारने के लिए तैयारी कर रहा था। आरोपी ये आप देख रहे हैं सामने से आता है, उसके पास हथियार भी होता है और वो यहाँ पर लड़की जो है संध्या चौधरी, उसे उसका गला रेत कर हत्या कर देता है।
Abhishek Koshti pulled out a knife and attacked Sandhya without hesitation, going straight for her neck. He didn't stop. He kept stabbing for nearly 10 minutes. Doctors and nurses and staff stood by.
सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि ये जो जगह है काफी चहल पहल वाली जगह है। सामने आप देखिए आकस्मिक चिकित्सा कक्ष है। जिस तरह से आप ये लोग देख रहे हैं, मरीज, डॉक्टर, तमाम नर्सिंग स्टाफ, सभी लोग यहाँ पर उस समय मौजूद थे और किसी ने भी उस बच्ची को, संध्या चौधरी को बचाने के लिए पहल नहीं करी। लोग तमाशबीन बने रहे, वीडियो बनाते रहे, लेकिन जो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड है उसने भी यहाँ आने की जहमत नहीं उठाई। इसी जिला अस्पताल में कैंपस में ही पुलिस चौकी है, लेकिन परिवार का और स्थानीय लोगों का कहना है कि वहां से यहाँ तक आने में पुलिस वालों को इतना टाइम क्यों लगा। यहाँ घटना हो जाती है, आरोपी यहीं से लड़की को मौत के घाट उतारकर, इसी स्पॉट पर, यहीं पर लड़की थी, यहीं पर मौत के घाट, उसका गला रेतता इत्मीनान से, फिर मोबाइल पर बात करते हुए यहाँ से निकल जाता है। ना सिक्योरिटी गार्ड रोकता है, ना पुलिसकर्मी यहाँ पहुँचता है और इसीलिए कानून व्यवस्था पर भी सवाल खड़े हो रहे हैं।
After the brutal murder, Abhishek, cold, unflinching, turned the knife on himself in a failed attempt to self-harm. And then, as if nothing had happened, he simply walked out. Blood on his hands, phone to his ear, calmly leaving behind the body, the chaos and the deafening silence he had unleashed.
हमने यहाँ पर कई लोगों से पूछा कि वो यहाँ पर थे, किसी ने देखा। अधिकांश लोग मना करते दिखे। जैसे कि अभी ये जो डॉक्टर, भाई आपने उस घटना के समय आप थे यहाँ?
नहीं, मैं नहीं था, मेरी नाइट चल रही थी।
अच्छा, कोई नहीं देखा?
नहीं, मेरी नाइट चल रही थी, मैं अब इवनिंग में आया हूँ।
अच्छा
जी।
उस दिन कौन था?
उस दिन मेरी नाइट थी, तो मैं नहीं बता सकता आपको इस चीज़ को।
ये जो घटना स्थल मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ, यहाँ पर तमाम पेशेंट रहते हैं, हॉस्पिटल का स्टाफ रहता है, डॉक्टर रहते हैं। किसी ने भी उस आरोपी को हत्या करने से नहीं रोका। वो यहाँ पर वारदात को अंजाम देके इसी रास्ते से, जिस रास्ते से आया था उसी रास्ते से निकल जाता है। देखिए पूरा ये जो इलाका है हॉस्पिटल के अंदर, यहाँ पर ये वारदात हुई।
The superintendent of police, speaking to Republic, explained the unfolding of events as they have now taken cognizance of the whole crime scene and intend to move it in a fast-track court.
जैसे ही ये घटना हुई है, हमने तुरंत चिन्हित करके फास्ट ट्रैक कर दिया है और अभी हम चालान भी करेंगे विदिन 7 days और डीएनए और स्लाइड जो भी फॉरेंसिक है उन सब से भी हम विदिन 5 days लेके चालान करेंगे।
The police and Abhishek's brother claim that Abhishek and the victim knew each other before the incident as well.
हमारे पास स्टेटमेंट्स अभी घर वालों का नहीं आया है, लेकिन जो हमारे पास स्टेटमेंट्स आया है वो है लड़के का और लड़की के कुछ दोस्तों का, जिनमें लोगों का कहना है कि लड़की ने बात की थी,
फ्रेंडशिप थी।
ऐसा कहना है कि लड़की की भी जान पहचान थी उसके साथ।
Speaking to Republic's reporter, Abhishek's brother opened up about the fact that he had been planning to harm Sandhya, as he was aggrieved by her alleged ignorance for him.
लड़की से क्या उसकी दोस्ती थी?
दोस्ती नहीं, वो 2 साल से उसका पेड़ था।
अच्छा,
2 साल से पेड़ था और मतलब एक दूसरे को चाहते थे वो।
अच्छा, से कुछ बताया अभिषेक ने?
नहीं, वो बता रहा था कि मतलब मेरी माँ, मतलब मम्मी से बोल रहा था कि मतलब मेरी शादी करवा दो उससे। लड़की राजी नहीं थी, लड़की बोलने लगी हम मतलब राजी नहीं है, तुम हमसे मतलब दूर रहो, मतलब हम तुमसे मतलब रखना नहीं चाहते।
अच्छा, फिर आपने क्या समझाया अभिषेक को? उसने कभी ये हिंट किया था आपको कि मैं ऐसा कर दूंगा?
नहीं, हालांकि बोल रहा था वो, मनोपन ने सोचा यार जी ऐसा नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि वो बहुत के दिनों से बोल रहा था, महीना 1.5 महीना था जी बोल रहा था कि मतलब करके मैं मर्डर कर दूंगा ऐसा वैसा।
Sandhya's mother, stunned by grief, said her daughter never spoke of Abhishek, now branded her boyfriend. She knew nothing of any such bond. Silent with shock, she can utter only one demand: justice for the daughter who was her sole support.
तो यही चाहते जैसी हमारी बेटी को मारा है ऐसे उसी को फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए। हमें तो कुछ नहीं चाहिए, उसको तो फांसी होना चाहिए। हमारी बच्ची की एक तो याद होती है, मेरी बेटी ये कही तो थी जैसे मेरी बेटी है मारो ऐसे ही फांसी होना चाहिए, उसका भी गला कटना चाहिए। मेरे तो ये कई सहारो तो वही छीन लो रे।
बेटी ने बताया था कि उसे कोई परेशान कर रहा है?
मेरी बच्ची ने कुछ नहीं बताया, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं थी।
Her father, a humble vegetable vendor, first heard something was wrong through a call from Sandhya's uncle, but nothing could prepare him for what he saw at the hospital. His daughter lying still, her throat brutally slit.
हमरे साड़ू भाई ने फोन लगाया था कई अपनी संध्या की तबीयत खराब। मैंने की भैया अब फिर मैंने बात करी है, मैंने कही अब हमने सामने गई है मोड़ी तई से, तो अचानक क्या तबीयत खराब, नहीं तुम सीरियस है तुम जल्द ले जाओ। हम गए तो देखो उनको गला कटा लगा डला था बेटे का।
Sandhya's uncle called it a collective failure. Guards vanished, police arrived too late, and bystanders stood frozen as she was butchered in full public view for nearly 10 minutes. The family says they never knew the accused and refuse any compensation.
हमारी मांग ये है कि फांसी की सजा चाहिए हमें। जो सरकार हमें वो दे रही है, पैसा दे रही है, जो न दे मतलब फांसी की सजा दे।
मुआवजा ना दे चलेगा लेकिन फांसी की
सजा दे। वो फिर उसके ऊपर मन फांसी की सजा चाहिए पहले। वो मुआवजा दे अथवा न दे, वो उनकी मर्जी, मुआवजा दे वो न दे, वो मन फांसी की सजा चाहिए।
He did say that his brother should be punished, but was hesitant to show sympathies for the victim's family and their demand for justice.
लड़की का परिवार है, वो कह रहा है कि ये जघन्य अपराध है और लड़के को फांसी की सजा होना चाहिए। आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे इस पे? आपको मतलब पछतावा है आपके परिवार को?
पछतावा का नहीं रहेगा, वो भी देखो घर परिवार का बड़ी एक बात ये भी है, किसी की लड़की की जान भी गई है यार, तो वो तो अपने हिसाब से सब बोलेंगे।
मतलब सजा होना चाहिए।
अब देखो सजा की तो मैं आपके कुछ नहीं कह सकता।
बताइए सजा होनी चाहिए।
हम तो
नहीं मतलब जो हत्या कर दी, इतनी बड़ी वारदात है,
नहीं थोड़ा बहुत उसको भी सबक मिलना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं है, देखो मैं मेरा भाई है, मैं जरूर ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, थोड़ा बहुत उसको मतलब सबक मिलना चाहिए। उसको मतलब ऐसा कि पता चलना चाहिए कि भाई किसी की जिंदगी अपन ने बर्बाद करी है, तो भाई अपन को भी मतलब कुछ उसको भी कुछ महसूस हुए।
When speaking in the victim's neighborhood, our reporter encountered a few people who were ready to speak about the gruesome murder that has put them in a state of shock.
नरसिंहपुर में जो खौफनाक घटना हुई उसके बाद से पूरे इलाके में दहशत है। जिसने भी वो वीडियो देखा जिसमें आरोपी जो है वो लड़की को गला काट रहा है, लोग उसके बाद से बीमार तक पड़ चुके हैं। फिलहाल ये जो मोहल्ला है, इसी गली में ये जो घर है, ये संध्या चौधरी का घर है। हमने घर के लोगों से भी बात की और हम इस मोहल्ले के और नरसिंहपुर के स्थानीय लोगों से भी बात करेंगे कि आखिर ये जो घटना हुई है इसके बाद यहाँ का माहौल क्या है, लोग क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं। तमाम स्थानीय और जागरूक लोग हमारे साथ हैं, इनसे मैं बात करूंगा। सर, ये जो घटना आपने देखी, किस तरह से वो लड़की को दिन दहाड़े सरेआम गला काट रहा है?
नरसिंहपुर की ये घटना जिले की क्या प्रदेश देश की घटना, इतनी खतरनाक घटना हुई है कि कोई कह नहीं सकता। दिल दहला वाली घटना है। इस घटना में वो जैसे कोई कसाई काटता है जानवरों को, उस तरीके से अभी से वो कोष्टी ने उसको काटा है।
कहीं ना कहीं अपने शहर में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की कमी है। इसके कारण मैं ये चाहता हूँ पुलिस स्टाफ में थोड़ी सी कमी सुधारी जाए, क्योंकि कोई डर नहीं है अपराधियों को। दिन दहाड़े अपराध हो रहे हैं, शहर में नेता पिट रहे हैं, क्या आम आदमी की क्या सुरक्षा है? मेरे को तो ये लगता नहीं।
A man who sat on a dharna near the hospital against the lapse of law and order stated that the police did little in the aftermath until the protesters had arrived.
घटना स्थल पर हम लोग थे, अच्छा धरना दिया था, हम लोगों ने मांग भी की थी। तो ये जहाँ कहाँ अपन चाहे तो ये सिक्योरिटी की बहुत कमी है।
पुलिस एक्टिव हुई,
तब जाके एक्टिव हुई है पुलिस।
This cold-blooded crime in Madhya Pradesh has exposed the darkest sides of human nature, with a man that killed a woman by slitting her throat that he allegedly was in love with, and the bystanders not moving a single inch to help the girl who was stabbed again and again for over 10 minutes. It is now difficult more than ever to judge who is to blame for the young girl's life, the one who did it or the ones who stood and did nothing.
A massive blast, a factory in ruins, and dozens of lives lost in an instant. In Telangana's Sangareddy district, a chemical unit exploded this week, killing over 40 workers in what is now one of the biggest industrial disasters in India. What caused the explosion? Was it negligence, poor maintenance, or oversight by authorities for years together? As officials begin investigation and families demand answers, all the details are on the long-form story tonight.
कैसा रहा?
47 kilometers from Hyderabad, deep within the industrial stretch, stood Sigachi Industries, a chemical unit that manufactures microcrystalline cellulose powder, a flammable substance used in pharmaceuticals. At the entrance, a white board still displays the company's name, Sigachi Industries, a silent marker of what once was a 3-story high factory painted in blue and white. On the morning of the 30th of June, around 9:20, an explosion tore through this unit, bringing down the entire structure in a matter of few seconds. The blast killed over 40 and left at least 35 injured. 10 workers are still feared missing, buried beneath the rubble. The number of casualties are high. Workers from 2 shifts were present at the factory on the day of the explosion. They were present to attend a key meeting. This 36-year-old industry housed around 140 laborers working the night shift at the time of the blast. Many of them belong to the states of Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, migrated to Telangana in the hope of building a better life.
Well, right now we are at Sigachi Industries Private Limited in Medak district, where we see that on Monday morning a very massive explosion had taken place here at this very chemical factory. As you can see how the devastation that has taken place due to this massive explosion. What we are being told is that near about 36 people have lost their life, whereas 17 people are still missing, and also many of them are still undergoing treatment at the hospital. And as you can see, due to the massive explosion, it is being said that there was a dryer that had blasted and which led to the explosion, due to which a 3-story building has been completely collapsed. And right now, as you see, NDRF teams, SDRF teams, the local administration, fire department officials have been working on to clear the debris. Well, they fear that some of them could be still stuck under the debris, and that is the reason why the rescue operations continue even after the 24 hours after the incident had taken place.
The rescue operation began immediately after the explosion was reported. With 11 fire tenders, the SDRF, NDRF, the police department, firefighters, and the disaster response teams pushing into action. Amid the chaos, this video of a father, along with his elder son, standing helplessly outside the factory gates, looking for their missing son, who just joined the factory 3 days ago, defines the chaos and helplessness at Sigachi.
आपका बेटा है?
हाँ, हम मेरा लड़का है।
उनका नाम क्या है?
इरफान अंसारी।
अभी आपने किसी से बातचीत की?
बातचीत तो बहुत साहब से किया मैडम, लेकिन बोला था अभी बॉडी मिलने से कुछ कह सकेंगे, अभी कैसे कुछ कहेंगे।
अभी बॉडी नहीं मिली?
नहीं मिले मैडम।
हॉस्पिटल में चेक किया?
चेक किया, उधर तो हॉस्पिटल में तो जाना ही नहीं देता, घुसने नहीं देता है। सुबह गए थे लेकिन जाना नहीं दिया, घुसने नहीं दिया। ब्लड टेस्ट का वो आएगा तब अपने आप को हम बुला के दे देंगे।
किसी से बातचीत हुई आपकी?
बातचीत तो बहुत साहब से किए हैं, पूरा हॉस्पिटल छान मारे हैं, बोल रहा है मिसिंग है। तो उसके बाद अभी देखो शाम तक बोला है कि आपका ब्लड सैंपल आ जाएगा तो बॉडी दे देते हैं।
आपने ब्लड सैंपल कब दिया?
1 तारीख को सुबह 7 बजे।
अंदर जाने के बाद
Like them, there were several other family members, wives, children, parents, waiting in despair outside the factory gates and the hospital, desperate for any news that could trickle about their loved ones.
आपके कौन कोई रिलेटिव थे?
मेरा हस्बैंड था।
हस्बैंड अंदर काम करते थे? ड्यूटी पे आए थे?
आया था।
आपकी कब बात हुई थी उनसे आखिरी?
सुबह ड्यूटी हो आया, मैं ड्यूटी गया, वो आया ड्यूटी।
आपको यहाँ ये इसके बारे में जानकारी किसने दी?
मेरा दूसरा आदमी बताया ऐसे तरह जिस कंपनी में काम कर रहा है उधर जल गया बोल के।
अब हॉस्पिटल में जाके आए?
सब हॉस्पिटल ढूंढ लिया, किधर भी नहीं है।
यहाँ पे आपने किससे बातचीत की?
किसी से नहीं है, ये लोग से सब पूछ रहा था, बोल रहा डिटेल आएगा तो बताऊंगा। जितना नाम आया उसमें से मेरा हस्बैंड का नाम नहीं है।
The DNA samples of several family members have been collected to match the bodies found in the debris. The massive explosion ensured the bodies were charred beyond recognition.
It's really unfortunate that in this incident nearly 39 people have passed away, and debris is almost cleared. Some of the bodies which were left over, I think they are not able to put the pieces together. So necessary DNA tests are being done to ensure that the right identification is taking place.
Days after the blast, these families express how they are still in the dark, even after submitting the DNA samples.
DNA टेस्ट दे दिया है, कल सुबह मॉर्निंग में दिया था 9:40 में। 9 बजे पहले।
अभी क्या बोल रहे हैं ऑफिसर?
वो ऑफिसर बोले वहाँ अभी सुबह गए मॉर्निंग में 10 बजे के लिए बोला था, हम लोग 12 बजे पहुँचे तो उन्होंने बोला कि अभी DNA टेस्ट नहीं आया, नाइट में आपको DNA टेस्ट मिलेगा। 12 बजे तक जैसे आएगा तो हम आपको सूचित करेंगे, फ़ोन कांटेक्ट करके आपको बताएंगे। जी।
अभी आप यहाँ पे कितने देर से खड़े हैं, क्या कह रहे हैं, यहाँ पे आपको जाने दे रहे हैं?
वो अभी बोल रहा है कि ठीक अभी बता रहे हैं आपको जो है। अभी सर पुलिस 5 घंटे तो मेरे को यहाँ हो गए ऑलरेडी, यहाँ बैठे वहाँ गया, वो सर चले गए खाने के लिए। खाने बोलते हैं हम खाना खा के आ रहे हैं, मैं भी खाना खाने चला गया, यहाँ 1 घंटा खड़ा था। जाने के बाद मैं वहाँ देखा तो वहाँ पे कोई नहीं है, यहाँ पे फ़ोन आया, मैं खाना खा ही रहा था तो तुरंत फिर भगने के बाद आज अभी 2-2.5 घंटे हो गए मैं इधर फिर बैठा हूँ। फ़ोन कर रहा हूँ, मेरा कोई फ़ोन रिसीव नहीं कर रहा है, अंदर जा रहा हूँ तो अंदर कोई जाने भी नहीं दे रहा है।
Many of the families of victims are seen anxiously moving between the accident site and hospitals, seeking any available information about their missing relatives or hoping to spot a loved one among those injured.
4 दिन से हम लोग यहीं पे है, खाना नहीं कुछ नहीं, यहीं पे खड़े हैं। पुलिस वाले अंदर जाने नहीं दे रहे, ऊपर से जाने को गए तो लाठीचार्ज करेंगे, धो जाओ बोल के बता रहे। तो हमारे को कोई यहाँ पे रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी देने वाले कोई है नहीं। हम 4 दिन से यहाँ पे परेशान हैं। तो जो हुआ है इंसिडेंट उसको तो देख के गवर्नमेंट तो हमारे को कोई मदद भी कर रहे नहीं, जो हुआ है उसको परसों जो गिरा है उसको ही निकाल रहे, नया जो है वो खोजे तो हमको मिलता क्या कि बल्कि हमारा एक ये है तो अभी तक वो हमारे को कुछ हो रहा नहीं, यहाँ पे बैठे हैं हम 4 दिन से.
Over 40 dead and families left unattended. But what exactly triggered the explosion? A preliminary investigation suggests catastrophic overheating within the MCC spray dryer. Temperatures spiking past 399 degrees Celsius, igniting fine cellulose dust and triggering a rare industrial explosion.
This microcrystalline cellulose drying unit is there. So there is a blast in the drying unit. That is the cause of the blasting, followed by the fire incident. This is basically they handle the cellulose material. So it is called microcrystalline cellulose. So they basically powder it and then dry it in the processing unit.
While allegedly old machines were being used in the factory, the state government has washed its hands of any accountability and claims the accident was the result of poor management.
Here there were no interlocking systems. That is what the inspection report clearly mentioned. So this was the responsibility of the management to figure out what are the vulnerable points and what kind of action should be taken there. I think that has been lacking in this company. That is why when the pressure loads went up, there was no cut-off points. Normally there should be a cut-off point when the pressure goes high in the ducts. So I think necessary safety measures, necessary safety controls which are supposed to be there were not there.
After putting several of its employees' lives at risk, Sigachi Industries, in response, released a templated press statement just condoling the lost lives and announcing compensation for the families of the deceased. The Telangana government, in response, held a news conference. They have formed a multi-member expert committee with scientists from CSIR, IICT and NCL Pune to probe safety protocols and determine accountability. The committee is expected to submit its findings in a month. Who should be held accountable? The government, which is answerable for checks and audits, has now distanced itself from any blame. Or is it the Sigachi management that doesn't even feel the need to react to the blast that they are directly responsible for?
4 రోజులే మా ఫ్యామిలీ మొత్తం ఉపాసం తపసమాడ ఉన్నది. మరి ఇప్పుడు ఆడికి పోవద్దా? ఏమంటున్నారు? ఇక ఇట్లనే లీల పెట్టుకొని లీల పడ్డారు, ఈడ పోస్టర్ లీల పెట్టినట్ల. శాంపుల్ వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చారు. అలా తండ్రి ఉన్నాడు, అక్క చెల్లెళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, ఇచ్చిర్రు వాళ్ళు. ఇంకా ఏం పతకలేదు.
Well, now the larger question remains is that what went wrong at the Sigachi Industries that led to such a huge explosion, and also at the same time the FIR which has been registered against the Sigachi company management, it states that the company was given information, the authorities of the company were given information about the machineries, old machineries being used at the manufacturing unit, but despite that they continued to work with those old machineries, and that led to such a huge explosion. But then now the larger question is that were all the safety protocols followed, and also at the same time we see that Telangana government has also formed an experts committee to probe into this very matter as to what went wrong and who is accountable for such a huge incident that took place at the Sigachi Industries in Pashamailaram in Sangareddy district.
That's it on this edition of the Long Form Story, India's only show that goes deep into the biggest headlines of the week. In case you missed it, you can catch the full show again at 11 p.m. tonight or 12 p.m. on Sunday. Thanks for watching.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।